Hello, I'm Jane Kilpatrick, a resilience coach, hypnotherapist, and parenting support specialist. I help children, teenagers, and families build confidence, build emotional regulation, and inner resilience, especially when life feels anxious, overwhelming, or hard to manage. As parents, I believe we need to stop pretending that we can leave parenting and family life at the door when we go to work. We are whole people. The worries we carry about our children, our homes, and our relationships come with us into meetings, decisions, deadlines, and the way we show up each day. My work supports parents who are navigating school worries for their children, low confidence, emotional outbursts, bedtime struggles, and the invisible load of modern family life. I'm also the co-founder of the Compassion Exchange, a community created to support the whole person across family, well-being, leadership, and belonging. Now, I hear this far too often, and it may sound familiar to you too. You drop your child at school, maybe they're anxious, maybe they cling to you, maybe they cry, or maybe they go in quietly, but you can see in their face that they are not okay. And then 10 minutes later, you're expected to get in the car, arrive at work, open your laptop, join a meeting, answer emails, make decisions, and behave as if nothing has happened. But something has happened. Your body may be at work, but your nervous system is still at the school gate. You might be sitting in a meeting, but part of you is still replaying the morning. Are they okay? Did I handle that badly? Should I have stayed longer? Was I too firm or was I too soft? Will they think I abandoned them? Am I doing enough? And then comes the guilt. The heavy, familiar, painful feeling so many parents carry. Mum guilt, parent guilt, working parent guilt. The guilt that whispers, I should have done better. I should have been more patient. I should know what to do, and I should be able to cope with this. But I want to say something clearly at the start of this session. Guilt is not proof that you are failing. Very often, guilt is proof that you care deeply and you are carrying too much without enough support. So today I want to begin to help you ease this load, not by becoming a perfect parent, but by becoming a steadier, more supportive one. We often talk about parenting as if it only happens at home. But parents do not split into separate people. There is not a home version of you, a work version of you, a school gate version of you, and a professional version of you. There is one nervous system, one mind, one body, one emotional capacity. So when your child is anxious, overwhelmed, unhappy, struggling with confidence, unsettled at school, or finding life hard, you carry that with you. You carry it to work, you carry it in your conversations, you carry it into your sleep, your relationships, and you carry it into the way you speak to yourself. And that matters because many parents are not failing at resilience. They are simply overloaded. They're holding too many emotional threads at once. The school worries, the bedtime battles, the friendship issues, the confidence wobbles, the behaviour that looks difficult on the outside but feels heartbreaking underneath, the pressure to stay calm when you feel anything but calm. And then on top of all that, many parents still feel they have to perform at work, as if family life has not touched them. But it has. Because we are whole people. And this is the heart of what I want to share today. You are not just an employee. You are not just a parent. You are not just the person who fixes things, remembers things, organizes things, and holds everything together. You are a whole human being too, and you need support as well. Most parents come to this kind of support asking one question: how do I fix my child? And I completely understand why. When your child is struggling, you want to make it better. You want to remove the anxiety and you want to stop the tears. You want to make school life easier, to give them confidence, and you want to protect them from pain. That instinct comes from love. But sometimes the better question is not how do I fix my child? The better question is how do I help my child feel safe enough, seen enough, and capable enough to cope? Now that's a very different question because children do not build resilience by being told to toughen up. But they do not also build resilience if we rescue them from every difficult feeling. They build resilience through supported difficulty. They learn, this feels hard, but I'm not alone. This feeling is big, but it will pass. I can take one step. I can just try. And I can cope with more than I thought I can. Now that is where real confidence begins. Not from pretending everything is fine, not from pushing feelings away, not from rescuing them from every challenge, but from helping them experience difficulty with a steady adult beside them. And that steady adult does not need to be perfect. That steady adult simply needs to be supported enough to stay present. Before I give you the 3 practical principles that I want to share with you today, I want to talk about a little bit more about what sits underneath so much of this, and that is mum guilt or parent guilt, because guilt can make everything feel so much heavier. You may feel guilty for going to work, guilty for wanting space or for losing patience, guilty for not being available when your children need you instantly, guilty for being relieved when they actually finally do go to sleep, or guilty for not knowing what to say. Guilty because another parent seems to be coping better than you. Guilty because you love your child deeply, but sometimes you just feel completely worn out. And here's the problem with guilt. Guilt often pulls us out of wisdom and into overcorrection. We either become too hard on ourselves and start the inner chatter of like, I'm terrible at this, I should be coping, I've messed up. Or we become too quick to rescue our child because their distress triggers our own discomfort. But guilt is not always a useful guide. Sometimes guilt is just an alarm bell for an overloaded nervous system. So when guilt appears, try not to obey it immediately. Pause and ask yourself, is this guilt giving me useful information, or is it just telling me I am exhausted? Now that question really matters because a tired, guilty parent often tries to solve everything at once, whereas a steadier parent asks, what is needed now? What is mine to hold? What belongs to my child? And what is the next compassionate step? Now that is the shift. Not guilt-led parenting, compassion-led parenting. And that compassion includes you too. So the first principle I'd like to share with you is regulate before you reason. And what do I mean by that? Well, when a child is anxious, angry, tearful, clingy, or overwhelmed, they're not always being difficult in the way we think. Their nervous system is activated. And when the nervous system is activated, logic often does not land. You can say, There's nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. You like school once you're there. We talked about that yesterday. And all of that might be true, but their body is saying, I do not feel safe right now. So the first job is not to explain. The first job is to settle your child. And that might sound like, I can see this feels really big right now. Or let's take one breath together. You do not have to solve the whole day, just the next small step. I'm here. You are safe. We are going to do this gently. This does not mean you have to give in to everything. It doesn't mean boundaries disappear. It means you lead with steadiness before strategy, because a child who feels met is more able to move forward. And the same is true for us as parents. Before you reason with yourself, regulate yourself. Before the inner criticism starts, pause. Before you say, I handled that terribly, take a deep breath and say, that was hard. I am doing my best. What is the next steady thing I can do? And that is the compassionate leadership at home. The second principle I'd like to share with you is name it without shaming it. Because children often feel things they do not yet have words for. Anxiety can look like anger. Sadness can look like defiance. Fear, avoidance. And low confidence can look like I can't be bothered. An overwhelm can look like rudeness, resistance, or shutting down. So instead of going straight to correction, let's start with some curiosity. So you may like to say things like, I wonder if this feeling is a bit too much today. Or if their tummy's hurting, I say something like, I wonder if your tummy is telling us you're worried. I wonder if part of you wants to try and another part of you is scared it might go wrong. I wonder if this anger is actually a worried feeling underneath. And that kind of language gives a child a map. It helps them understand what is happening inside of them. And when children can name what they feel, they are less likely to be controlled by it. But just let me be clear, this does not mean every behaviour is acceptable. It means the feeling is allowed and the behaviour still gets guidance. So the message becomes, your feeling is safe with me, your behaviour still needs support. That is very different from shame. Shame says, what is wrong with you? Compassion says, what is happening for you and how do we help you through it? That shift changes the tone at home completely. And finally, the third principle I'd like to share is confidence grows through tiny, brave steps. Many children do not need a huge confidence breakthrough. They need repeated experiences of doing something that felt difficult and discovering they survived it. That might be something like walking into school after a hard morning, trying a new club, actually speaking to a teacher. And for some, it might be sleeping in their own bed, putting their hand up in class or telling a friend how they feel. Trying again after something went wrong. The mistake we often make is asking far too much too quickly. We want the whole problem solved. But confidence rarely grows in giant leaps. It grows through small, repeated evidence. So instead of asking, how do we fix this completely, ask, what is the next brave step? Not the whole mountain, just the next step. And when they take that step, name the effort. I saw how hard that was for you and you still tried. That was a brave step. You could say something like, you built confidence by doing that. You did not wait until you felt ready. You tried while it still felt wobbly. Now that's really powerful because children begin to understand that confidence is not something that they have or do not have. Confidence is something they build and something to be built on. And parents need this reminder too. You do not need to feel completely calm before you take the next step. Sometimes steadiness grows because you choose one steady action while still feeling unsure. Now, I'd like to give you something simple that you can use today, and I call this the 3-minute parent reset. And it can be used after a difficult drop-off or a hard conversation that you've had, or you can use it when you're feeling completely absorbed by everybody else's stress, or if that mum guilt has set in loud and clear. So step 1, place your hand on your heart or your chest and place both feet on the floor. And just let your body know, I am here, I am safe, I am in this moment. And this helps bring you back from the spiral. Step 2, say what is true. So quietly say to yourself, this feels hard and I'm doing my best. Not something like I should be coping better, I failed. Just the truth. And say it with kindness. This feels hard and I am doing my best. And finally, step 3, just choose one steady action. So maybe ask yourself, what is the next steady thing I can do? Not the perfect thing, not the thing that fixes everything, just the next steady thing. And that might be sending a calm message to school, might be just taking 3 breaths before you go into your meeting, or making a simple plan for after school. Apologising if you snapped, or letting go of the guilt for 5 minutes, putting your phone down, making a cup of tea, asking for support. The aim is not to solve everything in 3 minutes. The aim is to move from emotional flooding into steadier leadership of yourself and your family. So in all of this is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming steadier. When you begin practicing these 3 principles, something starts to shift. Not overnight, not perfectly, but gently and steadily. You begin moving from panic to steadiness, from blame to curiosity, from guilt to compassion, from pressure to tiny brave steps, from carrying everything alone to allowing support in. And that matters because your child does not need you to be flawless. They need to feel that you are with them. They need to see that difficult feelings can be handled. And they need to learn that anxiety is not the enemy. They need to discover that confidence can be built. And they need a parent who is not disappearing under the weight of everyone else's emotions. This is why your support matters too. Because when you become steadier, your home feels steadier. When you are supported, you have more capacity to support them. And when you stop treating yourself as the last person who matters, something changes in the whole family system. This is exactly why we created the Compassion Exchange, because parents, professionals and leaders are not separate people. The pressure you carry at home affects how you show up at work. The pressure you carry at work affects how you show up at home. And too many people are trying to hold it all together quietly. Inside the Compassion Exchange, you will find support for the whole person. This includes leadership, well-being, parenting, resilience, emotional regulation, confidence, connection, belonging. For parents, that means practical support for the real issues families face. And that means anxious children, confidence dips, emotional outbursts, school pressures, bedtime struggles, motivation, resilience, and the invisible load of modern family life. You're not joining a space that tells you to be perfect. You're joining a space that helps you feel supported, steadier, and less alone. It is a place to breathe, a place to learn, a place to question, a place to come back to when life feels heavy. A great community to connect with others. So here is my invitation to you. Come into the Compassion Exchange for 30 days for free. Use it as a place to explore, learn, ask questions, access practical resources, and connect with people who understand that modern life is asking a lot from parents. You will find parenting support, community sessions, coaching insights, and resources designed to help you connect, belong, and thrive. Thank you for watching this webinar, and please reach out with any questions. Just remember, you do not have to carry everything on your own, and your child does not need a perfect parent. They need a steady, supported, compassionate one. So click below to start your 30-day free trial, and I really look forward to seeing you inside the Compassion Exchange.